Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're listening to us from. Today I'm in conversation with my little big brother, Paul Mugarura.
Yes.
And Paulo, I'd like you to tell our listeners about yourself.
Okay.
What's a fun fact about Paul?
What's a fun fact about me is I like cycling.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Do you know how many miles you've done, like in the last, I don't even know. And how did you discover it? Like, I didn't know you as a cycler. Where was that brother?
Where was that brother?
Yes.
So, I'll tell you where it started. When we came from Canada, you remember when our family moved back from Canada, you remember we had some bikes that we came with.
Really, we did?
Yes.
I remember the bikes in Canada, not... Okay.
We had bikes in Namirembe, and then when we moved to Makerere, one bike was left. It was in terrible shape.
Yes.
But I learned to ride it. I taught our younger brother, Peter, to ride it as well. So that's where kind of the bug came from. When I moved to Canada in 2003, early 2003, the family there that adopted me gave me a bike to get around. They're like, it's a great way to see the city, blah, blah, blah. Because at that time I was just using the buses. And so they gave me a bike to see to see the city I was in. And they were right. It's a really great way to see Ottawa, which is where I stay. And so then I always just had a bike around.
Wow.
When I met my wife, she, when we were dating, we discovered we both enjoyed cycling. But it wasn't.
Did you go on cycling dates?
Yes, we did.
You did?
We
That
did.
is so cool.
When we got married, I did some gig or something, and I got a little extra pay, and we had like these old, heavy, crappy bikes. So we decided to invest in a little bit nicer bikes. And when you have a nicer bike, it changes the whole cycling experience. And so we just went from there. And we just really got into it from there and kept increasing our fitness. Over the years, you know that I've struggled with illness over the years. So there were some years when I was really sick, where we didn't cycle very much. But in the past few years, as my health has improved, we've cycled a lot. So yes, I cannot tell you how many kilometers we have cycled.
Yes, but you do quite long ones.
Yes, we do.
Like at a go, you do about...
So our shortest rides that we do are 20 kilometers, and then we go up from there. We live in a really... I don't want to sound like a poser and what, but
it's where you live.
Well,
it is what it is.
We chose to live in this part of the city.
Yes.
It's really nice. It's close to the river. We have quick access to the river, and in Ottawa, we have very nice bike paths along the river. So we like to just jump on the bike path, ride 10 kilometers out. It gets us to a little airport. And then we cycle from the airport back. That's usually our joyride. Over the past few years, because we've been activated by my health struggles, because I struggle with MS, we were activated to support the multiple sclerosis foundations and fundraisers in our city, and so we decided to join the MS ride or the ride for CHIO. CHIO is the kids' hospital in the city, and they also raise money. They have a cycle thing.
Wow.
And they do longer rides, like 100 kilometers, whatever. So we have to train to get up to those, to get up to that level of fitness.
Wow.
So then that's when we do the 40, 50, 60, 70 kilometer rides. Yeah.
And like a 61 takes you how long?
So we average about between 23 and 25 kilometers an hour. So 50 kilometers is 2 hours, so 60 is about 2.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cycling nonstop.
We stop to eat.
Okay, because I was just like, wow, how do I get to that? But wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And
or sometimes we eat on the bike. Like after you cycle a lot, you know how to get your bottle of water and drink while you're on the bike, or eat while on the bike.
Without stopping.
Yeah. But generally because it's just us as a family who cycle together, we kind of take it easy. So we ride 15 or 20 kilometers, then we stop and we fuel, we eat, get some nutrition, and then keep going from there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, you've written a book.
I have.
What does that feel like?
It feels interesting. You know you've had these thoughts in your head,
Yes.
and you're like, I should write a book, and then you psych yourself up to write it,
Yes.
and then you actually do it, and then your words are out in the world,
Yes.
and now people are going to read your words,
Right.
are going to agree with, disagree, critique. They may not resonate with your writing style. They may whatever, any number of things. It's a kind of exposure that I'm not used to. It took me back to the days when I first started performing music in front of people, performing songs that I had written in front of people.
Yes.
It's a very vulnerable experience because it's like you're putting a piece of yourself out there, and you don't know how it's going to be received. You don't know, are people going to like it or not? Blah blah blah. But I've been doing music for so long that I got over it years and years
Yes,
ago.
yes,
So
yes.
it's sort of bringing back that memory. I'm reliving it
Yes,
again.
yes.
It's new memory. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it feels like that.
And about leadership, no less.
About leadership.
Yes. What makes it such a central thing to you?
Our dad was very passionate about leadership.
Absolutely. And leaders.
Yes, leaders and leadership.
Yes, yes.
He did something that I think was innovative during his time at St. Francis Chapel in Makerere. Because he didn't have staff. He only had a secretary.
Yeah.
He didn't really have staff helping him with the ministry at the church. So in order to make the youth ministry run and the kids ministry run, and to not preach 52 sermons, not 52 because we had 2 services. So that's 104
And
sermons.
that's not counting Wednesday, Paulo.
That's not counting Wednesdays. And then when we went to 4 services, 5 services, that's a lot of
Yeah.
that's a lot of effort for one person to put in.
Yes.
So in order to be able to carry the ministry load at a church that was growing like it did
Yeah.
for some years there were some years there where we were growing in leaps and bounds. What he did was he empowered the people at the church to lead. And so he became passionate about leadership. And we, his kids, caught his passion. Because even us, he kind of
Yes.
shoved us
Yes.
into leadership positions in the church, or into leadership adjacent positions. Yes. Yeah.
And you do talk about that leadership adjacent.
Yes.
And for those who don't know about school, that's the other place that we encounter
Yes.
a lot of leadership. At
Yes.
least in I'm sure in all schools, but yeah, in an interesting way in our schools. And you talk about it a bit. You want to share?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
Your
interesting.
experience of leadership in school.
Yeah, at the time that I went to King's College, Budo, we had Mr. Basulwa was our headmaster, and Mr. Basulwa had a really unique philosophy for how to run the school. He asked the teachers to be more hands off, and he asked the students to take ownership of the school. So you wouldn't find a teacher supervising housework or the grounds work at the school. Students manage that all by themselves.
Wow.
So students supervise themselves.
Yeah.
Students organized it all. To their detriment, students punished each other. Punished themselves also. I'm not sure that was such a good idea,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
then we
yeah.
had little ayotolas
Right?
at the school.
Yes.
But it gave almost everybody at that school an opportunity to lead. Either you were the one in charge of the gardens in the dorm, or you were the one in charge of the sweeping, or you were the one in charge of cleaning the toilets, or whatever. Everybody had something. We had the sub-lampas who were in S3. Then we had I can't remember the name of the S4. There was like an S4 leader. Then in HSC, obviously, we had elections.
So it
running
was tiered in that sense, yes.
We had elections running for house prefects. Even like if you got sent to, let's say, slash the grass at a teacher's house, one of the students in the class would kind of be put in charge of making sure that everybody did their part and slash the compound. So we were in a very interesting crucible in that time. And Mr. Bussowa was very adamant about it, about the students leading themselves. And so we all kind of got to experiment with leadership in very real hands-on ways.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And so during that time, I became convinced
Yes.
that I could be the head prefect of
Which
King's College.
really, it's not too far-fetched, right? I mean, they tell us to aim for the stars, no?
To aim for the stars, all of those things.
Yes.
My first few years in Budo were a little bit rough. From my perspective.
Yes.
When people tell me about who I was in Budo, I don't recognize the person they're talking about. But from my perspective, it was a little bit rough. The first 3 years, I was having a little bit of difficult time finding my footing socially and whatever. I did eventually find my social group. My
Yes.
friends who are still my friends to this day. I struggle a little bit to find leadership positions, but eventually, you're assistant gardener or something,
Yes,
and then in S3, I was like, I want to be the head prefect of this school. I just blurted it out. And someone was like, one of my classmates was like, to be the head prefect of Budo, you have to first make it back in HSC. And truth be told, I was not doing well in school at that time. So I had to I took it as a challenge.
Yes.
I worked really hard through S3 and S4, made it back in HSC. And by the time I came back, I was starting to sort of see myself in that leadership role. But I didn't understand that becoming the head prefect was actually a popularity contest. It was an election. You campaigned, you went to the dorms, you talked to people, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
But the person who was going to be selected as a head prefect, most of the time, was someone who either had an aura about them that was magnetic, or whatever, they carried themselves in such a way that people just wanted them to lead, or they had a way of galvanizing people and being very popular. And the gentleman that I ran against was really great at being popular. And so he trounced me.
Yes.
We went through the whatever leading up to it. It was becoming clear through the process that he was going to win.
And you didn't want to back down.
By a margin.
You said, I will do this.
You see, it's hindsight is 2020. I understand now that it was a popularity contest.
Yes.
But at that time, I had done all this work individually, personally, to become more a person of integrity. I had done all this work internally to fix my academics. I had done all this work to kind of carry myself differently. And I thought that all those things would translate.
Yes.
All those things would translate and the people would see that, and whatever, people would see that I'm a serious person. I wasn't a rule breaker anymore and whatever. And I thought that they would reward that and say, yes, you can, whatever.
Now lead us.
Yes. But turns out you ask a bunch of high school students who you want to lead them, they will not pick the guy who will enforce the rules.
No. Yes.
At least in our case.
Yes.
That's not the way that
Well,
it
at that
played out.
point, he doesn't yet have to enforce the rules.
No.
Yes,
But then,
as you point out.
inevitably, yes, as I write in the book, once you become the head prefect, then you're suddenly handed the responsibility for the whole school and for making the school run. And so then the guy who was popular and everyone liked him and he slapped everyone on the back and he was hey, buddy with everybody, all of a sudden, it's like, now you have to enforce the rules. Then you go from being Mr. Popular to being Mr. Super Unpopular.
Yes.
And so that was really interesting. So, So then during that time, after my serious loss, I was kind of just licking my wounds. I was like, maybe this leadership thing isn't for me. And then a friend of mine who was leading the Contact choir, Contact was the student fellowship. She was going for S4 vacation, because at that time we used to have 6 months between S4 and S5.
Yes, something like that. It was quite long.
Yes, it was long.
Yeah.
She was like, I want you to be in charge of Contact choir. And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
I was running for head prefect.
I know, right?
It seemed like a really bad consolation prize. But it turned out that that it was one of the best places for leadership for me, because I started to reframe what it looked like. I started to reframe my understanding of what impact could look like, how I could have an impact in people's lives, how I could bring people together around a shared vision and all of that. And how like choirs tend to be, and arts groups, they tend to be a meeting place, a melting pot for the odds and ends, for people who are the people who are a little bit artsy aren't like the ones who are like super popular. The people who are a little bit like maybe shy, need to like have their confidence built or whatever, and they take a chance and they're like, maybe I'll join the choir, I'll hide in the back or whatever.
Yes.
You get a chance to work with people like that.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being so great for me to lead in that capacity. And I think that's where my thinking about leadership started to shift from sort of being a person who's out front and who leads because of their stature, to being someone who leads by gathering people, by galvanizing them, by even working with misfits, and putting them together to do something really cool. So like we won a bunch of competitions together. When I took over the choir, it was a small group, like 15 people. By the time I ended, we were like pushing 100. It was really fun. It was really cool.
Wow. Huh. So, and you led that while you were at school, right? That was before Makerere University.
That was before my career, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you carry those lessons into how you lead at Makerere, or you sort of pack them in the back of your mind and think, yeah, that was interesting.
So it was when we went to Makerere, and you went there at the time. You went there in a season that was similar to the one that I did. At the time that we went to Makerere, it was one of just a few universities in the city, so it was highly competitive to get in. So obviously the people who get in are the best.
Few. In my time, it was
the only one.
Yes.
By the time I went, there were maybe 2 or 3 others. There was Nkumba, Nkosi, and something else.
Okay.
So, but still, you were getting the best of the best at Makerere.
Yes.
And so, when you enter, you're not the only leader. You're not the only person who was head prefect. There's other head prefects who came
from all over the country.
Yes, you're not the only house prefect who came. There's other house prefects. You're not the only choir leader who came. There are other choir leaders.
Yes.
And so when we arrived at Makerere, when we arrived at St. Francis Chapel in particular, where a lot of my leadership got exercised, my own friends from Budo were there, and some of them were more gifted or just more vivacious or vibrant than I was. My really good friend Alan, he was from Makerere College School.
Chisitu,
yes, Alan Chisitu. He's late Alan Chisitu.
Yes.
We miss him. He was like my dad's protege. My dad had picked him at like 12 years old. Our dad. Why am I saying my dad? As if he's not your father as well. He was dad's protege.
Yes.
And for good reason. He was extroverted in a way that I wasn't. I am introverted by nature. I did not know this till later in life. But
me too, but that's
yes,
a whole other
That's a whole other
very
yes. He had a way with people that he could smooth out rough edges. Like if there was a conflict or whatever, he could like really help people get through it. And if you're bringing people from all sorts of corners of the country and trying to stuff them together into a unit, there's going to be friction and whatever. He could manage that much better. I'm more prickly. I tend to exacerbate problems sometimes. I've learned to not do that. But at that time, I was a bit acerbic.
Yes.
And so that was my tendency. Also, he was just flat out talented.
Oh, absolutely.
He was like one of the best vocalists
Yeah.
that I've ever heard in my life. So I was content to sit behind people like him and to serve in the background. Because, and this was part of this is part of the lesson that I brought from Budo. Because I don't have to be the one in front.
Yes.
So there's other ways that I can be effective.
Yes.
So maybe, maybe no one really likes to do sound.
Yeah.
Like if you look at churches, no one really likes to do the soundboard. I can be effective at the soundboard. No one really likes to do the lights. I can be effective at the lights.
Yeah.
No one likes to set up the speakers. I'll set up the speakers. And that's a way that I can lead.
Yes, yes.
And then what would inevitably happen is because those jobs need to be done every week. If you volunteer for them, you have to be there every week.
Every week, absolutely. And every week, very early.
Yes.
Is the other thing that
Yes.
we don't see. Yeah.
Yes. But then the flip side of it is our friends who are up front, who are leaders, they sometimes flake out. And so then I've set up the system, and so was supposed to come lead, and there was no one to lead. So it's like,
You
yes,
do it.
and
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
our father sets you up for leadership is he says, you go.
Yeah.
No preparation, no nothing. It's like, here's the microphone, it's your turn
No,
now.
and Paulo, when you say that,
Yes.
I think Dad did train us, interestingly, to be gap fillers.
To be gap fillers, that's
Yeah.
right. Yep. Yep.
To,
So that's-
lie in wait.
Yes.
And when there's a need, you meet it. I'm not
Yes.
going to ask. I'm not going to expect it of everyone.
Of everyone.
Before I expect.
It of my kids. Yes. And so we were gap fillers at St. Francis. There's a hole here. The ushers didn't come. You go usher.
Rachel go lead Sunday school.
Yes. Exactly. Rachel and Gloria taught in Sunday
Yes,
school because
yes,
of that.
yes, yes.
You guys did drama group because of that. I did sound and whatever. When we got a new keyboard or a new piece of equipment,
You
I was
learned
the
it.
one who learned it. Then
Then train others.
yes, then when I moved on, then Peter, our youngest
Yes,
brother,
yes,
took on that role.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very interesting. That's kind of how leadership fell on me. It fell on me because there was a gap, and I was the one standing there. And so it's like, now you're next up.
Yeah.
So-
And that's where I'll end this thought, right? That as leaders, mind the gap.
Yes.
And who are we training for the gap?
Mind the gap, please. I actually wrote a blog post. Can I go on a tangent here?
Absolutely.
Years ago, I wrote a blog post because, again, I'm going to sound like such a poser, but
And Paul, don't even.
We
We wouldn't have thought it if you had said it. Now we're going to think.
now we're going to think it. So we were in London. I was going from Heathrow to downtown London to meet an old friend of mine. And you have to take a bunch of trains to the subway. And they always have this thing, mind the gap, please. Mind the gap.
Yes.
Mind the gap, please. Mind the gap, so that you don't fall in the gap
Yes.
between the stand and
'Cause you
the
can
train.
hurt yourself very badly.
Yes, so people hurt themselves really badly. So I wrote a post about that. Mind the gap. Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
We'll pause it here
Okay.
and let that sink.